Hey everybody, it's Nick here with you. Welcome back to the Rock Squad channel in the Rock Albums Ranked video for Weezer in honor of their 15th studio record, Van Weezer, coming out on May the 7th. I will be ranking my favorite Weezer albums from least favorite to favorite. We've done some of these videos before for Smashing Pumpkins and for Foo Fighters, and they're a lot of fun because I love digging into my favorite bands and their discographies. Weezer has quite a few albums in their discography, so there's a lot to dig into. Just to give you a quick reference to my history with Weezer, my very illustrious history with Weezer. I became a fan of the band when I was in high school. I might be dating myself here, but I was in grade 10 in 1998. That's when I became a Weezer fan. The Blue Album and Pinkerton had already been out for a couple of years by that point. It was known as the dark times for Weezer fans. If you were online at all at that point, it was the dark times for Weezer fans while we were waiting for new music. The follow-up to Pinkerton, which took a while. It came out in 2001, eventually with the Green Album. There was a couple of different songs that came out during that period, like a Pixies cover and some Christmas songs. But otherwise, it was known as the dark period for Weezer fans. But that's when I kind of jumped on board and became a fan of the Blue Album and Pinkerton. And they were a huge influence. And when I was first learning how to play guitar and sing and write songs in my first band in high school, Weezer was a huge influence for us. We were always playing Say It Ain't So, Undone the Sweater Song, Buddy Holly, anything from, El Scorcho was a huge one for us as well. And I have seen the band live a couple of times, saw them at Arrow Hall in Toronto, saw them at the Molson Amphitheater, and actually saw them at a place called the Island Club at Ontario Place in Toronto in 2001 when the Green Album came out. My friends and I had actually gone to a radio station in Toronto. If you're from there, you might know 102.1 The Edge, and we went to go win tickets to go to this exclusive show at the Island Club. So we basically sat out on the front of the radio station as like a storefront radio station that we basically played our guitars all day long to win these tickets, which we eventually did. We went to the show. We also got in to go see the band at Much Music, and I got to ask the band a question live on the air on Much Music as well. I know maybe some people think, "Oh, Nick, that's not that cool," but I thought it was cool at the time, considering they were one of my favorite bands. Definitely, I think Weezer would be one of my top 5 favorite bands of all time. So I've been a ride or die Weezer fan for a long time. I've stuck with them through thick and thin, and I know a lot of people knock them for being too poppy these days, for not really leaning into the sound that they made famous on the Blue Album and Pinkerton, which is that kind of geeky, distorted rock sound that everybody loves. I love it too, but I've also loved everything else that Weezer's put out. They've done a lot of things. Rivers likes to work in different genres, whether that be, guitar rock, grunge rock, riff rock, like he's going to be doing on Van Weezer coming up, poppy stuff, orchestral stuff, everything in between. I've really enjoyed it. So I've stuck by Weezer through thick and thin, and I will defend them to the death. And I will defend pretty much every record they put out. I know some of them might end up on the lower end of this rankings video, but that's not a knock on the record specifically. I pretty much like everything they've done, but some records got to be on the bottom and some got to be on the top. That's just how it goes with these ranking videos. So let's get to it. These are my rock albums ranked for Weezer. Just one little quick note before we get to the rankings. I will be ranking these from 1 to 15 because I'm going to be including Death to False Metal, which is an album that came out in 2010. It's not one of Weezer's official studio albums. It's made up of mostly unreleased tracks up until that point. But I consider it one of the essential releases in the Weezer discography. So I will be including Death to False Metal. Let's get to the rankings. All right, so coming in at number 15 on my Weezer rock albums ranked, we have the Teal album. That's right. This came out in 2019. It was kind of a surprise release right before the release of the Black Album. And it's okay. I don't mind it. It's just Weezer doing cover songs, although I do love Africa. I love Everybody Wants to Rule the World because I'll never turn down a Tears for Fears cover. But otherwise, it's just Weezer doing cover songs. I guess if I saw them in a bar doing these songs, I would think they're a pretty solid cover band with a pretty solid selection of tunes. But otherwise, it's just a Weezer cover album. Definitely not one of my favorites. So in at number 15 is the Teal album. In at number 14 on my Weezer rankings, we have Make Believe from 2005. Now, this album actually came out in a period when I wasn't really into Weezer. The period in between Maladroit and when this album came out, I kind of lost track of the band. Basically, when I was in university, I didn't really listen to a lot of Weezer. So when this album came out in 2005, I wasn't really into it. I didn't really enjoy Beverly Hills at all. I think that might be, even though I don't mind it now, I think it might be one of Weezer's most shameless singles and one of their most shamelessly popular releases over the years. But it's one of those most popular singles for them. It's one of the albums, one of the songs that really cemented them as being a big rock band again in the mid 2000s. But otherwise, aside from a couple of key tracks like "We're All on Drugs," I really like "Peace" and "This Is Such a Pity" and "Perfect Situation." It doesn't really stand out to me, maybe because I wasn't really into it at the time. Maybe if I enjoyed it more when it came out, I would rank it higher. But otherwise, I like it, but it's not one of the albums I put on a lot. So in number 14, we have "Make Believe." In number 13 on the Weezer album rankings, we have the Black Album. Sorry for the glare, guys. We have the Black Album from 2019. I really liked the album before this, Pacific Daydream. That'll be higher on this list. And I remember Rivers and the guys really selling the Black Album as being kind of the flip side, the darker side to the light side of Pacific Daydream. So I was kind of looking forward to that. But when the album itself came out, I got to say, there's still kind of a little bit of sticker on here. I got to say that I didn't love it as much as I thought I would, even though there are some songs on here that I really enjoy. I love, Can't Knock the Hustle. I love Byzantine, Too Many Thoughts in My Head. I'm Just Being Honest. I love those songs as well. But overall, it wasn't quite the follow-up to Pacific Daydream that I was hoping. And when you have so many albums like you do with Weezer, some albums got to end up on the lower end of the rankings. So that's where I'm going to put. We're going to put in number 13, the Black Album. And at number 12, we are going to put Maladroit. Now, this is an album that I know a lot of Weezer fans really, really enjoy. So you might place it a little bit higher on your list. For me, I remember when this album came out, after the Green Album came out in 2001, they turned this around really quickly in 2002. But if you remember when Weezer was making Maladroit, they included the fans in the making of this record. They went into a studio, actually multiple studios. And I actually remember asking them about recording this record when I was in that interview at Much Music. But they basically involved the fans. So they would get together, they would do recordings of the songs on this record. Then they would post them online and fans would give their feedback. And so the band would go back and re-record them and so on and so forth and keep recording multiple versions of these songs. They did it again for Make Believe, even though they didn't really include any of those songs on Make Believe. They did go through that process again. But I think that's what maybe compromised this album's, I don't want to say integrity, but overall enjoyment for me, because I felt like it was a little bit compromised. Their artistic vision was compromised when they included all their fans. I know a lot of fans might think that's a cool thing, including the fans in your musical process, but I don't really think that works for Weezer. I don't think that works for Rivers. And I think the songs came out a little bit weaker as a result, even though I love Dope Nose and Take Control, Slob. Fall Together is one of my favorite tracks on this record as well. I didn't really love it, especially off the backs of the Green Album, which I thought was one of their relatively stronger records. So in at number 12, we got Maladroit. And in at number 11 on our Weezer album rankings, we have their most recent record, which came out earlier this year. We have OK Human. And I did a rock album review for this one on the channel when it came out back at the end of January. And I think I wanted to like this album more than I actually do. I like the aesthetic behind this record and the overall vibe of the album, which is mixing together Weezer with that Abbey Road orchestral sound, which is super cool. I just think the songs themselves didn't really stick out to me, especially after I did that rock album, the review. I didn't really find myself going back to this record very much. So although I do think it's cool and I do like the overall vibe of it, it didn't really do much for me, even though I love all my favorite songs, Grapes of Wrath, Numbers. I really love La Brea Tar Pits. That's one of my favorite songs as well. But overall, not one of my favorite Weezer records, even though I wanted to love it. So in at number 11, we have OK Human. And coming in at number 10, we have the album from 2010. It's Hurley, featuring Mr. Jorge Garcia from Lost, one of my favorite TV shows, on the cover. So I was into it when they showed that they were going to put Hurley on the cover and name the album after him. And this album might be one of the most hated by Weezer fans. I don't know. You can let me know in the comments. I know a lot of Weezer fans don't really like this. It came off the the heels of Ratitude, which is one of Weezer's poppier records, and I think they went maybe even further into the poppy realm with Hurley. An album that I do enjoy, though. I really like a lot of the songs on this record. I love Ruling Me. I love Train Wrecks. I love Brave New World. That's one of my favorites. I love their song, the cover of All My Friends Are Insects. But then there are some lackluster tracks on this record when you think about. I don't love Unspoken. Where's My Sex? Probably one of the worst Weezer songs ever released. Runaway, Smart Girls. Not terribly fantastic. Still some solid songs on it. But there are definitely lots of better Weezer records in their repertoire. But I do enjoy some of the stuff on this album. So in number 10, we got Hurley. Coming in at number 9 is what I was saying, not one of their official studio records, but still something I really love. It's Death to False Metal. I love the album art on this one. And I love a lot of the songs on this as well. Two of my favorite Weezer songs of the kind of mid 2000s era, which were The Odd Couple and Autopilot. I love these songs. Autopilot's a little bit poppy. The Odd Couple is a really great song, a really well written song. So if you haven't checked out the Odd Couple or Autopilot, I would really check those out. Turning Up the Radio, which is a song that Weezer and Rivers collaborated with the fans on that one. I like that as well. I Don't Want Your Loving, but there are some weak tracks on this as well. Their cover of Tony Braxton's "Unbreak My Heart" is not really fantastic, as well as "I'm a Robot." Not a great song. Still a cool compilation, and I do consider it to be essential to the Weezer discography. So in at number 9, we're going to put Death to False Metal. In at number 8, we're going to put the album that got me back into Weezer after falling off the bandwagon for the Make Believe record and the years that happened in between, and that would be 2008's Red album. This album got me back into Weezer in a big way, and it is a fantastic album. There are some contributions from some of the other Weezer members on this. Thought I Knew, which is a song by Brian Bell. Automatic, which is by Patrick Wilson. There's some songs that are sung by Scott Schreiner on this record, so it's much more of a band effort, and there's really some fantastic tunes on this. Troublemaker, The Greatest Man That Ever Lived, which is one of the best Weezer songs ever written, where they go through all the different genres. It's epic. It's one of the best Weezer songs ever written. I keep saying that, but it's true. I love Pork and Beans. I love Dreamin', Heart Songs. And then the bonus tracks on the Red album. I don't know if you have the deluxe edition that I have here, but there are 4 bonus tracks, and 2 of those tracks are among my favorite Weezer tracks ever. A song called Miss Sweeney. Love Miss Sweeney so much. The chorus on Miss Sweeney is fantastic. The kind of spoken word verse from Rivers is fantastic. But even more than Miss Sweeney, there's a song on this record called King that is written by Rivers. He does some backup vocals, but it's sung by Scott Schreiner. King, when people say to me, you know, what's a great Weezer song they've released, you know, since the Pinkerton and the Blue album and since their heyday, I always say King. The lyrics can be a little bit silly, but the singing is incredible. The melody is incredible. My band, we covered it for a couple of shows. We would play it at a bar, and people would be like, "What the hell are you guys playing?" And we'd like, "This is the most epic song ever. It's fantastic. I love singing it on my guitar. It's fantastic." And that's what makes a Red album one of my favorites. Love the song King. If you've never checked it out before, you have to check it out. It's absolutely fantastic. So in at number 8, we're going to put the Red album. In at number 7 on our rock albums ranked, we have Pacific Daydream from 2017. I love this record. It's a very sunny record to me when I listen to it. It just it takes me to a different place. I actually think when it came out, I was on a trip down in Florida, so I was in the sun and with the palm trees and stuff. So maybe that contributed to my love of this record. But it's got some great songs on it. Mexican Fender is fantastic. Beach Boys, Feels Like Summer. I love Happy Hour. I love singing that one on my guitar as well. QB Blitz, Any Friend of Diane's. I know some people may not rank this one very high, but it does hold a special place in my heart, and I really do love it. So in at number 7, we have Pacific Daydream. Coming in at number 6, we have the Green album. As I mentioned earlier on in the video, in that period between Pinkerton and the Green album, when I became a Weezer fan, that was known as the dark times. And we were just waiting for anything from Weezer to come out. And when this album came out, it was huge for me when we were in high school. This was gigantic. I remember when Hash Pipe and Island in the Sun were these huge singles on the radio, and Weezer came back in a big way, and everybody was really into it. And I'm still into it. I love Don't Let Go, Photograph, Crab is a great song, Simple Pages, Knockdown, Drag Out. There's also some really great B-sides from the Green Album era, like Starlight and Teenage Victory song. Really enjoy this record. And I actually have a vinyl single from the Green Album era. I got the Hash Pipe 7-inch single, which features a B-side called I Do. Very cool 7-inch, very cool album. And it's not one of my top 5, obviously, favorite Weezer records, but when it came out, I really enjoyed it. I wasn't like a lot of fans who were upset that it didn't sound like Pinkerton. I enjoyed the poppy nature and the back to basics nature of the Green Album, and it still holds up to this day. So in at number 6, we got the Green Album. In at number 5 on our Weezer albums ranked, we got the White Album. This was a return to form. Well, one of the returns to form. Coming up on the list, we'll get to another album that I thought was a return to form for Weezer in the mid 2010s. But the White Album, man, what a great effort. I think the band was trying to put out their beach record with the White Album, and they definitely succeeded. California Kids, Wind in Our Sail, King of the World is one of their best singles that they put out in a long time. Summery Lane and Drunk Dory is one of my favorite Weezer songs from the last couple of years. And Endless Bummer is a great ending song. So I got to say, I really love the White Album. It's pretty solid front to back. Again, when a lot of people ask what's the best Weezer album to listen to, if you're a fan of those first couple of records and you really like when Weezer sticks to being typical Weezer, White Album, as well as one of the other albums I'm going to list on the rankings, is the album that I would recommend. So in at number 5, we're putting the White Album. And at number 4, we have, could this be the most controversial record in Weezer's discography? Could be, but I absolutely love it. And that is Raditude. Look at that silly album cover. This was the period, like with Hurley, where Weezer was getting into something a little bit not stranger, but they were doing different things. They brought in Josh Freese to play drums on a lot of their tracks, both in the studio and live. Pat Wilson moved up to playing guitar. Maybe I should play the lead guitar and Pat should play the drums on Back to the Shack. But this is a fantastic record. The actual record and the deluxe disc that comes with it as well. But even though this album is poppy as hell, I love it. I love, if you're wondering if I want you to, I want you to. I love I'm Your Daddy, The Girl Got Hot, In the Mall, Let It All Hang Out. That song is fantastic as well. And then some of the songs that are on the bonus disc, Run Over by a Truck, The Prettiest Girl in the Whole Wide World, which Weezer fans waited a long time. We waited a long time to get an official version of that song. It's fantastic. I love it. I know a lot of Weezer fans are going to disagree, and you're probably going to hate me for this, but it's poppy, but it's Weezer, and I really love it. So in at number 4, we're going to put Raditude. Sorry, guys. In number 3, we are going to put Everything Will Be All Right in the End. As I was saying, Weezer, when they want to, can go back to being the Weezer that everybody knows and loves from the Blue Album and Pinkerton. And when they put this album out in 2014, as well as the White Album in 2016, they achieved going back to being standard Weezer, especially after quite a few years of doing that poppier thing on Raditude and Hurley, like I just said, on Back to the Shack, the River sings, maybe I should play the lead guitar and Pat should play the drums. And that's precisely what they did on this album. And it sounds like vintage Weezer. Aside from a couple of songs that sound like kind of new school, like Back to the Shack. I love Eulogy for a Rock Band, Lonely Girl, Had It Up to Here, The British Are Coming is one of my favorites, Cleopatra. It's a solid record from front to back, and I remember listening to it quite a lot in my car when it came out in 2014, and I just love it. It's a great record. So in at number 3, Everything Will Be All Right in the End. All right, so we're going to get to our top 2, and those shouldn't really be any surprise because they would probably be the top 2 on any Weezer fans rankings list. So in at number 2, I'm going to put Pinkerton. Yes, Pinkerton. What else is there to say about Pinkerton? This is one of the best albums of the 90s. It's one of the best Weezer albums. It's still a classic to this very day from front to back. Every song, Tired of Sex, Get You, Why Bother, Across the Sea, Good Life, El Scorcho, which is a song that my friends and I have played ad nauseum on guitar at parties over the years. Pink Triangle, Butterfly. It doesn't get any better. Well, I guess it does if this isn't the number 1 record, but it doesn't get any better than Pinkerton. And like I said, I enjoy all these different aspects of Weezer. I will follow them through all their different sound changes and all their different things that they experiment with. And as you can see, Ratitude and some of their other different records made it quite high on the list. But I still think in the end, most people would agree that Pinkerton and the Blue Album, spoiler for number one, are among their best. So still going to put it in at number two. We got Pinkerton. All right, so it shouldn't be any surprise that the number one record on our Weezer albums ranked the album that started it all in 1994, and that would be, sorry for the glare, the Blue Album. That's right, guys. The Blue Album is number one on this list. I think most Weezer fans will put it as number one on the list, and deservedly so. It's fantastic, front to back, all 10 tracks. I'll just list them all off. My name is Jonas. Incredible. No one else. The World Has Turned and Left Me Here, which is one of my favorite Weezer songs. Buddy Holly, Undone the Sweater Song. I feel like I'm doing a roll call. Surf Wax America. Love it. Say It Ain't So. Again, another Weezer song that I've played at many a party over the years. In the Garage. Holiday, and the epic, the incredible Only in Dreams. One of the best closing songs on any record ever. This is fantastic. It started it all. It's taken us on this incredible journey of all these albums that's gonna culminate or continue with the release of Van Weezer next week. So it's fantastic. In at number one, of course, Blue Album. And that is it for my rock albums ranked video for Weezer. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. A lot of people are going to get mad that Ratitude was so high up on the list, but I stand by it. I love that record, as I do all of Weezer's albums. And I'm very much looking forward to the release of Van Weezer next week. I love everything I've heard on the record so far. I think End of the Game is one of their best songs in a long time. Huge single for them. I Need Some of That, which is a new song they released last week. That's a good one. Beginning of the End from the Bill and Ted soundtrack. It's going to be good. So looking forward to Van Weezer. Let me know what your favorite Weezer album is in the comments below. Make sure to like this video. We would appreciate that very much. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and check out the other videos that we have on this channel as well. Rock album review for the new Royal Blood and the Rock Squad podcast, which is something that we've been doing every week. It's been something that we've really enjoyed, and we hope that you guys have been digging into it. Me and my friend Dave Marini, we've been doing a weekly podcast where we dig into everything in the rock music news world. We talk about some reviews. We talk about everything. There's discussion. It's all about rock music. So if you like rock music like we do, make sure to check out the Rock Squad podcast, which is here on the YouTube channel, and it's available in audio form on pretty much every platform: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and make sure to follow us on social media as well, at Rock Squad Pod on Twitter and Instagram. So we'll see you guys in the next video here on the Rock Squad channel. Have a good one.